Good morning, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to your Wednesday edition of the Morning Jog. My name is Matt Cohan, and I am joined, thankfully, as always, by two social media starlets, Francis Ellis and Robbie Berger. How are we, fellas?
It's practically an introduction for like an AVN winner.
I'll take it.
Yeah, you'll take it. And you'll take anything you can get if you're wearing that shirt. Can you show our viewers here?
What? I had it on this morning, and I knew you guys were going to roast me. This, Francis, you know who this is? Maddie does.
Wait, is it?
He should know this. No, Matt?
It's not Carlin, is it?
No.
He's got to be better. It's funny how the joke just turned to him now, because I was going to get ripped for the shirt.
Oh, nice.
It's kind of like he's peeking around my mic here. It's very uncomfortable for me. I can only imagine what it's like for you guys.
The thing is, I can only see his nose up, so I thought it was like Mother Teresa or something, you know?
Look at him just kind of just peeking around that microphone.
Yeah, it's a very coy look. It's very coy.
It's super surprising for a guy who doesn't know who Kelly Kapowski is to be rocking a Billy Joel shirt, but we'll address that later, I guess. All right, fellas, let's dive into it. The big story today is actually not very big at all anymore. Here's a sentence you never thought you'd hear. CC Sabathia is now physically fit. A photo was posted on social media of CC looking like DK Metcalf, and his broadcast partner confirmed the photo is not a deep fake. I'd estimate CC is probably down from 300, about 250, and he looks pure granite. Francis, you weren't nearly as impressed with CC's transformation. Plead your case.
Yeah, those are kind of lumpy muscles. They're what I would call lumpy muscles. Like it clearly he's turned fat deposits into shapes. That's kind of what I would give him. He looks like he's filled with like puppies. You know what I mean? Like he's gonna give birth to puppies out of his fingers, traps, delts, whatever. I've seen pregnant dogs before. Pretty cool. Point is, he talked about how he had to kick a Captain Crunch addiction. I feel like this is just a guy who, when you're playing professional sports and they're playing 162 games a year or more if the playoffs are involved, and you're on the road all the time, you feel like you need to eat whatever you can to stay alive. Except baseball's not like that because pitchers pitch every 4 or 5 days, right? Yeah. So unlike when I was in college and playing at, a Division I level, the highest level of lacrosse, really.
That's hot.
When we would eat whatever we wanted. I mean, just plates of popcorn shrimp from the dining hall, knowing there was no way we were going to put on weight because we were exercising too much. Right. CC Sabathia seems to have had that mentality, except he was wrong. And now he's exercising for his own benefit and for his health. And he's got this sort of, he kind of looks like one of the, the agents in the Matrix when Neo would like go into their body and then start collecting the little nodes and things and then explode them. It looks like he's about to explode with Neo.
Ruthless. Robbie.
Yeah, look, I wish during his career he would have let us know that it's Captain Crunch. That's the reason behind this. Because I understand it 10 times more. If you've ever been in a Captain Crunch phase, it really is hard to kick because the captain really just hits different. CC Sabathia, and I mean this when I say it, is one of my favorite players of all time. You could throw this guy out there and the whole bullpen would know they get to rest that day. Quick little story for you. Four Seasons Hotel. I was a guest services manager there. I told all my employees, pick one celebrity or athlete where it will be okay if they ask for a picture. They're not supposed to ask for a picture. My one was CC Sabathia, where you just break the rules and you ask it. Love CC, huge fan of the guy, even more of a fan now, knowing that he couldn't kick a Captain Crunch diet.
Did you ever get to meet him?
I did. I went up. He had his bags. I ran up to the bell desk, moved the bellman, took those bags, ran up to his room. I said, I'll give you guys whatever he gives me. I go up. I say, CC, I'm so sorry. I have to do this. I got to ask you for a picture. Couldn't have been nicer about it. Gives me $100. Go down to the bell desk. Be the honest Abe that I am. Bring $100 down to the bellman, CC Sabathia.
Oh, wow.
Wow.
Robbie, do you have any stories that are kind of the opposite where you had a bad interaction with a famous person coming into the hotel?
More than you can imagine.
Yeah.
More than you can imagine.
We'll get to that later on.
Yeah.
Speaking of watching what you eat, singer Bryan Adams wants people to stop eating bats. In a recent Instagram post, Adams blamed the coronavirus pandemic and his canceled shows on, quote, some fucking bat-eating, wet market animal selling, virus-making greedy bastards. And said his, quote, message to them is to go vegan. Francis, you blogged about this. You had a couple incredible lines in that blog. I want you to go first.
Well, I love the idea of Bryan Adams. Bryan Adams saying "Summer of '69." He's this sort of smooth rock guy. I love the idea of him calling upon vegans to lead this racist charge with him. As if summoning the most woke, politically correct slice of society to this, fuck the Chinese people tirade is somehow a collective movement, Having said that, though, look, not for nothing, I've heard these kinds of sentiments a lot more than I ever would have thought that I would have from people that I'd never heard racist stuff from before. And I don't know how much truth there is to the bat eating situation. I think bats are getting a lot of undue flack from all of this. But, for whatever reason, that's the prevailing stereotype, is that this virus came from someone eating a bat. And it's kind of reminds you of when AIDS broke out, everyone said it was because some dude had sex with a monkey. And I don't really think that was true either.
I think that's been debunked.
Yeah. But the point is just because Bryan Adams is, oh goodness, I'm getting a robocall. Just because Bryan Adams is saying it doesn't mean that, he's some whack job who's the only dude who's saying this. I've been hearing this from a lot of people, and it kind of worries me. I'm not a big fan of racism.
Before I kick this to Robbie, I need to sing Brian's song here. He's always been this huge animal rights activist, always in PETA commercials. And I think his thing is don't eat bats. Not and I actually looked up to people in China actually eat bats. And it's called hot soup, and you can still get it in southern China. I've seen pictures on, I don't know if they're fakes or whatever, but I've seen people eating bats. So I think he just wants the world to stop eating any type of meat, whether it's bats or chicken or beef, and that's a sentiment I think, a lot of people can get on with. I don't know if he's the villain here, Robbie.
It's, to me, it was one of the biggest transitions in a caption I think I've ever seen. There was 3 different transitions. It started off with the fuck these bats, greedy sons of bitches. Then it changed over to really enjoying some quality time with my family. And then the third transition is what Francis said, to the calling upon vegans to change this. It was an absolute, it was a roller coaster of a caption unlike anything I've ever seen. And from Bryan Adams, of all people. It just, the whole thing's bizarre. And on another note, he sounds great. I really feel bad for whoever was going to see him in concert that now can't. Because did he not sound awesome?
Sounded great.
Still does.
But just a bizarre caption.
Yeah, Bryan Adams and the Technicolor Dream caption. It does make you realize that true musicians like this, even with just a computer Zoom camera and a crappy mic, are it's almost like you can hear and see their talent better through such brought to earth technology, you know?
Yeah, I'd expect to see this from like a Kid Rock, but not necessarily the guy like my parents listen to while having sex.
Matt, that's a picture perfect analogy. Because I was even trying to think of someone I would expect it from.
Yeah.
Kid Rock is perfect.
Yeah. But
I
before
wrote
we
that,
transition,
by the way, his music is the type of music that makes you realize how strong the air conditioning is.
dude,
And I don't know why I said that, but it made perfect sense to me.
Dude, I literally was just going to say before we transition, I have to call out this line. When you said that, it made no sense to me in the entire sense of the world. It was amazing.
Because you know what it was? Is that every place I've ever heard his music was heavily air conditioned. Kmart's, CVS Pharmacy, cars. It's like those are the only in the summer. That's the only place you ever hear Bryan Adams' music.
Great take.
Yeah, really you also said if you've ever gotten a prescription filled at CVS, you've heard Bryan Adams. I mean, dude, that blog is incredible. Some of your best work I've seen since.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Great take.
All right, let's move on from this. If you thought Bryan Adams was at his wit's end with the pandemic, let's check in on Florida. On Monday, about 50 to 60 protesters showed up outside a courthouse in Clearwater and began doing push-ups and squats to protest gym closures in the state. Florida has allowed many businesses, including barbershops, nail salons, and restaurants to reopen during phase one. But gyms are set to reopen during phase two, quote, once the governor determines it is suitable to continue reopening and after fully considering medical data in consultation with state health officials. The irony here, fellas, obviously being protesting a closed gym by proving you can work out without one seems a bit counterproductive. Robbie, what do you think?
You know, Matt, you sent this outline at 8 a.m. today. I've had 3 hours to try and prepare my thoughts for when it comes to Florida and these stories. A, I'm not surprised, and B, I just don't know what to think anymore. And I lived in Florida, and even with coronavirus going on, I mean this when I say it, coronavirus is one of the last reasons Florida gyms should be closed. If you've ever been to a Florida gym, I'll leave it at that. They just continue to leave me speechless. It's just absurd, these stories, day in and day out.
Yeah. By the way, Florida is the only place where you can go to the gym and see the entire line of treadmills occupied by people wearing cargo shorts, fanny packs,
yes,
boat shoes with ankle socks that come up to their calves. Calves, by the way, that are so old that they've got like jagged veins. You ever see like lightning?
I think they're called, are those varicose veins? I think the medical term.
To be honest, I've kind of wanted those.
Yeah, sure, Matt, if you want to, be the fucking scientist. And Robbie, I think any vascularity for you would be a step in the right direction.
Anything to take the notice away from your shirt, pal.
I knew I was going to get toasted on this thing. I just knew it. I knew it.
No, but listen, look, I wonder if anyone's at are gyms really going to open back up? I would have thought that if there was one thing that was never coming back, it would be gyms.
Yeah, fuck gyms forever, honestly.
Yeah, especially in Florida. It's a good point. I mean, especially in Florida.
Gyms are going to become the new Radio Shacks. There's going to be like one of them in like each state. Nobody really knows where it is. But if you're not finding, like,
but it's there.
Yeah, it's there. That's where you sell all your drugs, in the parking lot. But if you're not finding a way to get in shape with all this time on your hands, what makes you think you're going to get in shape when in summer, when the bars and restaurants are open? These people are fucking buffoons.
Agreed. Yeah.
All right. I think that's time for us here.
Let's do it. Let's pull the ripcord.
Good shit. Thank you for listening, everybody. We're back here on Thursday, tomorrow. Please listen. We love you. Peace.
Later, folks.